Hey guys, it's Drake again with another facsimile video. I decided to show this one here because I don't think I've opened it up because it's a little bit hard to show with one hand, but this is Pearl, Cleanness, Patience, and Sir Gawain. This one's a manuscript facsimile. And then I have a couple other facsimiles that I wanted to show you. One is the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer, and then the other one is the Fairy Queen by Edmund Spenser. So this one here, I already have it opened up to an interesting page. So as you can see, this is actually loose. You know, these pages are just like in little bunches here, but this here is one of the illustrations they included with the manuscript originally. And as you can see, a couple other drawings. Now, of course, these were originally in color, but I imagine it would have been too expensive to print them in color, so I have them in black and white. And as you can see here, this is a Pearl poem in the original handwriting. This is what the manuscript looked like. As you can see, a stamp from the British Museum. Pearl with oaten spot. And as you can see, the manuscript continues. It's an idea of what the handwriting was like almost 700 years ago. English. And this would have been after the Normans invaded, of course, so it's a mixture of Norman French and then the transition from Old English to Middle English. So I just wanted to show some of these because I think it's pretty fascinating to see what this used to look like. It's pretty hard to read, but this you can start to make it out compared to something like Beowulf. And then next I'm going to show you what Chaucer looked like around the same time. I believe this book was put out, or this manuscript was put out a little bit earlier than the Chaucer that I have that I'm going to show, but I honestly didn't memorize the dates before I made the video, so. But they're very close at the very least. So as you can see here, Pearl, Cleanness, Patience, and Sir Gawain. And that's from the Cotton Nero manuscript. All right. Little funny story here. So this facsimile, Norton First Folio facsimile, I brought that in to my classroom because we're reading Romeo and Juliet now. So I brought in the First Folio Shakespeare for any of the students who were in person that wanted to see it. A couple of the students thought it was really interesting, but as you can imagine, it got a limited interest. All right, so this here is the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. University of Oklahoma published it in the 70s. And this here is I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but it's the Hengwort manuscript. And then they give us this first page in color. Look at that, isn't that just amazing? The color on that. And then of course there's a huge splotch there, but this manuscript is about 600 years old, a little more than 600 years old. This one was they think put out right around the time that Chaucer died. So, at first they thought that the Ellesmere manuscript was the most accurate, which is the other famous one. That's where you see all of the drawings of like Chaucer back in the day and so on, and then I think they've come to the conclusion that this one is actually the most accurate. So as you see here, here beginneth the book of the Tales of Canterbury. And then as you can see here, you know, so here's the picture on this side of the original manuscript with all the ornamentation and everything, but then it does give you a transcription. When that April with his shore suita, the drocht of March hath pursed to the ruta, and bathed every vein in switch liqueur, of which virtue engendered is the floor. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's probably not too far off. But yeah, as you can see there, look at that. Let's see, you can tell this handwriting is different than the Pearl manuscript. Yeah, as you can see, this one is a little damaged itself, but oh, this one's especially clear. You can see there, kind of easy, her mouth full small, and there too soft and red. See, so this one you can kind of make out a little better too. But then of course, if you're trying to read it and you can't make it quite out, they've been nice enough to tell you everything here. So we can see that top line, her mouth full small, and there too soft and red. Okay. Yeah. See. Yeah, as you can see, this book is quite large because it gives each page of the original manuscript. Yeah, see the battle, but that kind of looks like the French bataille, the bataille to Dane as Yao told, and her maybe, oh, and Till. Anyway, so it's kind of fun to try to work it out, and then the handwriting is just amazing. I kind of want to try to copy this type of handwriting. But yeah, I don't want to go on too long about this one, but anyway, so that's the Chaucer Canterbury Tales. It's a big book, as you can see here, big book. It's a little bit smaller than the Bottom's Dream, but, and then lastly here, this next one I'm really happy with because I had been looking for it for a while, and the only copy I saw had already been sold, like, I don't know, years ago on eBay, I think is where I saw it. And it was super expensive, and so I just kind of offhandedly looked again on my lunch break at the school, and I was like, well, you know, what are the odds? Just look. And then oddly enough, I found a copy, facsimile copy from the Scholar Press, you know, which I showed in my other video, of The Fairy Queen by Edmund Spenser, and it was a reasonable price. I had to get it shipped from the UK, which, you know, is always expensive for heavier books, or, you know, this book is 2 volumes, but yeah, here, I'll go ahead and move it in this shot so you can see it. Okay, that's volume 2, so let me switch them around here. But yeah, so this is it. As you can see on the side, Fairy Queen, Spencer, and then should show, yeah, Scholar Press. Anyway, so these are what they are, and I kind of have an interesting story related to these. So I took a class 2 semesters before I graduated university on Edmund Spencer, but unfortunately that was the semester that I had the fire in my apartment complex, and I also had to go to the hospital multiple times for my abdomen related to a birth defect. So at that, with all those things happening, I tried to hang on, but unfortunately that was one of the classes I had to drop. Even though it was probably the most insightful English class I took at university, I just couldn't complete it because I had gotten so far behind on the reading. And then that was also a class where we had to do an independent research project, which was between, I think it was 12 to 15 pages. And it just got to the point where I couldn't keep up because of all my difficulties. But anyway, long story short, we went to the Harry Ransom Center, which is the rare book library at UT. And they had just purchased, I think the year before, an actual like first edition copy of Edmund Spencer's The Fairy Queen. One of them was the 1590 edition, which is books 1 through 3, and then the other one was a 2-volume set, which is the reproduction of it here, which is the 1596 edition, which includes in the first volume books 1 through 3, and then in the second volume books 4 through 6. After that, there was a folio printing done, I believe in 1609, which is about 10 years after Spencer died, and it included the mutability cantos, which is another set of cantos that people are kind of unsure whether or not it actually is supposed to be connected to the Fairy Queen. But yeah, anyway, I'll start showing it. And this here is the 1596 facsimile. So it's like literally perfect. And I'm so pleased with the guy who sent it. Very, very good guy. Yeah, as you can see, Scholar Press, 1976. And it gives an excellent introduction, actually. And here, as you can see, is the original cover facsimile. Disposed into 12 books, fashioning 12 moral virtues. Printed for William Ponsonby, 1596. And you have here the dedication to the most high, mighty, and magnificent Empress, renowned for piety, virtue, and all gracious government, Elizabeth, by the grace of God, Queen of England, France, and Ireland, and of Virginia, newly discovered Virginia, defender of the faith, and her most humble servant, Edmund Spencer, doth in all humility dedicate, present, and consecrate these his labors to live with the eternity of her fame. The first book of the Fairy Queen, containing the legend of the Knight of the Red Cross, or of Holiness. And then as you see here, the original 1596 printing, which is, contemporary with Shakespeare, around the time of Christopher Marlowe. And there's Canto 1. A gentle knight was pricking on the plain, y-clad in mighty arms and silver shield, wherein old dents of deep wounds did remain, the cruel marks of many a bloody field. Yet arms till that time did he never wield, his angry steed did chide his foaming bit, as much disdaining to the curb to yield. Full jolly knight he seemed, and fair did sit as one for knightly, what is that? Jousts and fierce encounters fit. That must be jousts. Oh man. Yeah, it was so funny when I brought in the Shakespeare folio. One of the students said something really funny. It was, she said, "Yeah, this spelling, it's really weird. It looks like how my younger brother spells." So spelling things with like IE and it looks all messed up to people today, but I thought that was really funny. And then they thought the long S was really crazy, like how it looks like an F, but you actually pronounce it as an S, like silver shield in the second line there on the right. Yeah, this first stanza is interesting because, why does his armor have dents in it? But yet arms till that time did he never wield. Really weird. But yeah, so Edmund Spenser was inspired to write this partially by Orlando Furioso by Ariosto, which I showed in my previous video of my facsimiles. And yeah, so this is volume 1, and then I'll show volume 2 briefly here. But yeah, it's like such a nice copy. Scholar Press is just absolutely amazing. I really wonder how they were able to do this. Second part of the Fairy Queen, containing the 4th, 5th, and 6th books. 4th book of the Fairy Queen, containing the legend of Campbell and Telamond, or of friendship. The rugged forehead that with grave foresight welds kingdoms, causes, and affairs of state. My looser rhymes I wot doth sharply white, for praising love as I have done of late, and magnifying lovers' dear debate, by which frail youth is oft to folly led, through false allurement of the pleasing bait, that better were in virtues discipled, than with vain poems weeds to have their fancies fed. Such ones ill judge of love that cannot love, nay, in their frozen hearts feel kindly flame. So yeah, here's the second one. Fair Britomart saves Amoret, Duessa discord breeds, twixt Scudamore and Blandamore their fight and warlike deeds. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, didn't want this video to be too long, but thought it'd be neat to make a kind of a part 2 for my facsimiles. Anyway, let me know if you're interested in facsimiles yourself. Oh, this one here is an interesting one too. Thomas Harriot's Report of the Newfound Land of Virginia. It's by Dover. It's a really cheap one, but it's really nice too. It's exact facsimile. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. Death is a gang boss.